How you doing? Today I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about for a while, and that is the difference between uh, empowering and awakening. All right? Empowerment is a big word these days. Let's empower this community. Let's empower this minority. Let's empower women. Let's empower men. Let's empower this and that and the other. And this is thought in mostly positive terms, that it is a good thing to do. That by empowering somebody or some group, you are essentially helping. I take the view that you actually do the opposite. And this basically arises from the fundamental problem with the word itself, empower. Empower is a combination of two words, or rather, one word with a prefix added before it, the prefix M. You know what power means? Power means, strength. Empower means giving strength. So if someone has empowered you, you were originally in a state of powerlessness. You had no power. And then the power was given to you. And so now you have power. Thus, you are empowered. Think of, I'll just give you an example. So, like in the company that I work in, where I am the chief executive, I have a manager, an operations manager, a number two, if you will, whose job is to manage the affairs of the operations here. She is the operations manager. Now, she is empowered by me to take particular actions. She is empowered by me to manage the rest of the team and to make decisions that can affect the way the company operates. That is power that was bequeathed to her by me, who is the appointing authority, and who in the hierarchy of the company structure, I'm at a higher level. If tomorrow I decide to withdraw or rescind that power that I had previously bequeathed to this person now doesn't have power. This person is now disempowered. So this person will not be able to make decisions that can impact the organization. The rest of the team would have no obligation to listen to any instructions from her or anything like that, because the person has been stripped of power by me. So it is me that gives the person this power in that capacity. It is me that empowers this person. Now, when you think of it in sort of social political terms, where the word empower is used a lot, it's essentially the same thing. You are pointing to some special interest groups, a community, or even individual, and you are saying you're starting from the premise that the person has no power, and that the reason this person doesn't have the power is because it's not been granted to them by the authorities that have the power to give power. You can only give power when you have power, right? So, when you say you are empowering a community, you are essentially starting from the premise that they are inferior. It is, and it's built into the definition of empower that the entity being empowered is an inferior entity. And so we want to uh, improve its situation to where it is at a level that is slightly higher than where it was before. And so the people that have the capacity to give power bequeath to them the power. Thus, they are now empowered. And so to stand up and say, I am an empowered entity, I am an empowered person, empowered man, empowered woman, essentially you're saying you have no power and the power was given to you. And, when you think, in historic terms, well, let's say militaristic terms, let's think about war. If I want to, if I let's look at the American War of Independence, the American Revolution. where previously they were under the rule of the British. And so they waged a war against the British and they kicked them out. They did not march on the streets and issue petitions begging for the British to allow them to govern themselves. They got their rifles and guns and they just kicked the British out. Which is why the US is one of the few former British colonies that has no interest in being in the Commonwealth, as compared to the rest of us Commonwealth countries who were really bequeathed our independence. We begged for it and they gave it to us. And they gave it to us because they just couldn't be bothered to rule over us anymore, at least not directly. It was post World War II. They had no money. Their resources were stretched, and managing these colonies was just too much of a costly affair, because goodness knows they had to first work on repairing their own country following World War II. So they're like, yeah, okay, you want to be independent? Sure, there you go. And so every year, across the continent of Africa and Asia, you hear of countries celebrating independence, but really, how is it that you're celebrating? Because you didn't take it, you begged for it, and it was given. And I think that sort of relates to my own view of the concept of empowerment. If you are saying we need to empower people, you're essentially admitting that the people to be empowered are inferior. And it still requires you to seek the mercy of the powerful entities that are that do have the power. You are essentially begging them to share with you some of it. Now, what if they choose not to? What if the empowering authorities decide they're not going to bequeath you any of their power? Then what are you going to do? You see what I mean? Then there's nothing you can do. You're going to keep whining and complaining and marching. And unless they feel compelled, for whatever reason, to give you that power that you are seeking, you're not going to get it. And even if you do succeed in getting it after all of the begging and the pleading and the marching and advocacy, it'll still be true that the people who wield all the power still have it, and they can withdraw it at any time, the power that they have bequeathed to you. So I'm not a big fan of the concept of empowerment, and I thought I'd just put it out there.